Good morning, students. Welcome to the class. In today's session, we are going to take up Unit 8 of your English literature, and the name of the chapter is The Visitor. Now, we all know what is the meaning of the word visitor, person who comes to visit us but does not belong to our place, no? So, the story is a very interesting and very value based story, actually, and it is set in the time of the Second World War. I hope we all know that there were two world wars. One was First World War, which was around 1913, and the Second World War, which was set during the years of 1939 to 1945. Now, I hope you have your book with you. So while I am explaining the chapter, I am telling you the story. Please keep your book open on the chapter 8, that is page 83. Now, before we start reading of the chapter, there's an introduction given. We are going to go through the introduction first so that we come to know the background of the story. Now, this story is set in Germany during the World War II. Actually, Germany was a country which was one of the main allies, which was one of the main country which was fighting in the World War. And Adolf Hitler, he was the leader of Germany and the Nazi party. And Nazi party was supposed to be a very cruel party that time. It believed that Germans, they were superior to everybody and born to rule over the world. And Hitler, he had a special hatred for Jewish people. He considered them less than human, and he did not think that they had a right to freedom or life. So Hitler, had a special hatred. He hated Jewish people and he considered that they should not live. So he got arrested all the Jewish people in Germany and he imprisoned them in the concentration camps, where they were often tortured and killed. We all know what is tortured. Tortures means ill-treated. They were given all kind of tortures and then they were killed. Now, concentration camps, they were very, very treacherous during that time. Lot of tortures were given to the Jewish people. There were gas chambers, actually. There were big rooms where these people, they were kept. And there was no windows or doors where light could penetrate or oxygen could go in, and people died out there because of hunger and lack of oxygen. Or if not, then gas was leaked into these chambers, and then people died of that, or poisoning. So the story, there's a girl, Liesel, is a 12-year-old German girl. Now she and her parents, her father's name is Hans and mother is Rosa Huberman. They do not agree with the cruel politics of Hitler, and they are hiding a Jewish man whose name is Max Vandenberg. So in order to save this man, they were hiding him in the basement of their house, and they are determined to keep him safe. So this is very dangerous because if they are discovered, then all of them will be arrested and put to death. So in this chapter, in this excerpt, Liesel is playing with her friends when she hears some terrifying news. Now, what is that terrifying news which Liesel hears? Let us read and come find out, and what happens afterwards. So a new ball had been found for Himmel Street football. So that was the good news. So a good news was that a new ball had been found for Himmel Street football. So some group of children, they were playing the football and they had found a new ball. This was the good news. And somewhat unsettling news was that a division of the NSDAP was heading towards them. So one good news and one unsettling news. Unsettling news means something which is worried, which makes them worry. And that unsettling news was that a division of this party, NSDAP, was the National Socialist German Workers' Party or the Nazi Party, and they were moving towards this area. They were heading towards. Underline the word heading towards. Heading towards means moving towards them. So they had progressed all the way through the town, street by street, house by house, and now they stood at Frau Deller's shop. So this party, the group of men, they had progressed, they had moved through the towns and the streets, and now they were standing in front of Mrs. Diller's shop. The word Frau is used for Mrs. in Germany. Okay, in German. So taking a quick break before they continued with their business. So they had stopped at Diller's shop, and there they had taken a short break, a quick break, before they could continue with their business. Now let us see what business they were doing, or what was the work they had come here for. From afar, the children watched. So afar, underline the word afar, it means far away. So the children watched this party from afar. Liesel had only just come out, and she'd walked over to Rudy and Tommy. So Liesel had just come out. She did not have any idea about this approaching NSTAP party. So she had just come out, and she walked over to Rudy and Tommy. "What's going on up here?" So she asked. Rudy put his hands in his pockets. "The party. They are checking all the houses and apartments blocks." So Rudy informed that the party had come and they were checking all the houses and the apartment blocks. Instant dryness seized the interior of Liesel's mouth. So as soon as she heard this news, there was dryness. Instant means all of a sudden. There was dryness which seized, which captured the interior of Liesel's mouth, and she could not even breathe. It was like that sort of dryness, and she could not utter a word. And then she asked, "For what?" So Rudy answers, "Don't you know anything? Tell her, Tommy." So he asks Tommy to tell her why these people are here. Tommy was perplexed. So perplexed means confused. So Tommy was also confused. "Well, I don't know." So he was also sort of scared. When people see such kind of people, especially the police or around and all those people, army, so we get scared. "You're hopeless, the pair of you." So Rudy calls both of them hopeless, Tommy as well as Liesel. "They need more air raid shelters." So he informs Liesel that they need more air raid shelters. Now, air raid shelters were the underground basements of the houses or somewhere where the people, which were designed to protect the people from the air raids. Okay, so they were looking for some air raid shelters. "What? Basements?" Now, this is Liesel's next question. "No, attics. Of course, basements." So, Rudy is trying to be actually rude this time. He says, "No, attics. Actually, basement is the under portion of the house, the down under the house. And attic is the up room, the room which is made upstairs, which is usually a small room for storing things, a sort of storeroom we can say." So he says no attics. He's making fun of Liesel. And then he says, "Of course, basements. They are checking the basements to see if they are good enough to be shelters." "Liesel, you really are stupid, aren't you?" And he mocks at her. He says, "You are stupid. Why are you asking me what basements?" The children got back to their game, but Liesel was still standing. So the children started playing their game again, but Liesel was not able to play because she had got this shocking news, and she was still standing and thinking what is to be done. How could she get back inside without looking too suspicious? Now this is the first question which comes to her mind, that how can she go back to her house instantly, just now? She has come out. So if she goes back right now, that will be suspicious. Children will get doubtful that you've come just now and you're going back again. So that will be very suspicious, is doubtful. The small crowd of men up at Frau Diller's shop was starting to disperse. So the party men, had started to disperse. They had started to move here and there. Panic generated in that awful way. So, and it led to a lot of panic. Panic means she got not nervous. Throat and mouth. Air became sand. Her throat and mouth, it was stuck, and air turned out to be sand. Think, she thought, come on, Lizel, think, think. And she tells herself that she must think of something, of an idea, so that she could go back to her home instantly just now without sounding very doubtful or suspicious. So that means she has to think of a plan, some acting or something of that sort, so that she can go back. And it should sound some logical reason there should be. Rudy scored. Faraway voices congratulated him. So children, boys, they were playing their game, and Rudy scored a goal, and the other boys, they congratulated him. Think, Lizel, she had it. And again, Lizel is talking to herself, and she's telling herself to think hard. And then she got, that's it, she decided, but I have to make it real. So she got some plan, but she tells herself that she has to enact this plan in such a manner that it should sound real, it should look real, it should not look like an acting. As the Nazis progressed down the street, the ball was passed through the air to one of the bigger kids, Klaus Berrig. So the Nazis were moving towards down the street, and the children, they were playing, and now the ball is passed towards one of the bigger kids, whose name is Klaus Berrig. The boy turned with the ball just as Lizel arrived. So the boy handling the ball, he just turned, and Lizel, purposely, she arrived in that place. She went near that boy, and they collided. And what happened? It resulted in collision of the two, and with such force that the game stopped automatically. And this collision was so hard, it was so bad that the game had to be stopped, because maybe the boy and the girl both were hurt. As the ball rolled off, players ran in, and the ball went away, and the players ran in. All the players, they gathered towards Lizel because she had fallen down. Lizel held her grazed knee. So her knee, the leg portion, the bone, it was grazed. Grazed means bruised. She's got some the bruises in the graze because she got hurt. Some blood is oozing out, and with one hand and her head with the other. And she's holding her knee with one hand, and she's holding her head, because the head was the place where she collided with that boy. Klaus Berrig only held his right shin, and the boy, he had got hurt in the right shin, grimacing and cursing. And the boy was very, very badly grimacing and cursing. Now, grimacing means making faces because he was in pain. Where is she? He spat. I'm going to kill her. So he was in such a pain that he shouted that I'm going to kill her. Where is she? There would be no killing. It was worse. So the author says that it was more than killing actually. It was worse than killing. Why the author says so, that something which happened after this was worse than killing? Because a kindly party member had seen the incident and jogged dutifully down to the group. What's happened here? He asked. So that's why the author says that it was worse than killing, because that party member, the NSDAP party member, he had seen this collision, and he walked to this place. Actually, he jogged to this place. He ran to this place to see whether the children were fine. And he asked what had happened here. Well, she's a maniac. Klaus pointed at Lizel, prompting the man to help her. So Klaus was still in pain, and he called Lizel maniac. He says she's mad, she's a maniac, crazy. And that prompted that, that put the man in action, and he went on to help Lizel. I don't think you are in any state to keep playing my girl, he said. Where do you live? So when that party member, he saw Lizel's condition, so he remarked that I don't think so that you are in the condition of playing. You cannot continue playing because you're hurt badly. And he asks, where do you live? I'm fine, she answered. Really, I can make it myself. Just get off me, get off me. Now, Liesel's plan was to go back home herself. And this man had come here to help her, and this man was inquiring from her so that he could accompany her to her home. But Liesel could not afford this. So she said, I'm fine, and I can make it myself. I can make it myself means I can manage myself. And she gets angry. She says, get off me, get away from me, don't touch me. So she tries to be very irritating. That was when Rudy stepped in. So Rudy came in. I'll help you home, he said. Why couldn't he just mind his own business for a change? So Rudy says, okay, I'll help you home, I'll take you home. But Liesel says, remarks that why couldn't this boy mind his own business for a change? Really, Liesel said, just keep playing, Rudy, I can make it. So, Rudy, this line she's thinking, and then she tells Rudy that I can go myself, so you please keep playing. No, no, he wouldn't be shifted. So, still, Rudy did not move away, he did not shift. The stubbornness of him. So, the author says he was behaving like a stubborn. Stubborn is when you insist on something, even when somebody else is stopping you. Ziddi, we say. It's only take a minute or two. So he says that it will only take me a minute or two. So I'll leave you home. Why don't you agree? Let me help you. But Liesel doesn't want this actually. So let us see what happens again. Again, she had to think again and again. She was able. So again, she had to think of something, and then she was able to think. Now let us see what she was able to think. With Rudy holding her up, she made herself drop once more to the ground. So now what happened? Rudy was holding her up, and next plan of Liesel was, when Rudy was holding her up, she purposely made her drop once more. She fell down once more to the ground. Now this was her second plan. On her back, and this time she fell on her back and she started crying. My papa, she said. The sky, she noticed, was utterly blue, and she looked at the sky. Not even the suggestion of a cloud, and there was not even a cloud there. Could you get him, Rudy? And this is her next plan. She tells Rudy that you please go and get my father. Stay here. So Rudy tells her to stay there. Liesel kept an eye on the party man. A minute later, Hans Huberman was standing calmly above her. So Liesel is a very, very, intelligent and clever girl. She's keeping an eye on the party man also, where he is. And then her father arrives. Hans Huberman was standing up calmly above her. Hey, Papa. A disappointed smile mingled with his lips. I was wondering when this would happen. As a regular father, he says when he notices his girl lying on the ground, so he's disappointed and he's smiling also. And then this is the dialogue which he says that I was wondering when this would happen. Ki ye to hona hi tha. I was wondering when this would happen. He picked her up and helped her home. The game went on, and the Nazi was already at the door of a lodging a few doors up. So they went home, and by that time the Nazi party had already reached a few doors up. That means they were just few doors away from their own house, and no one answered. Once inside the house, Liesel gave him the information. So once they had reached inside, Liesel gave the information to her father. She attempted to find the middle ground between silence and despair. So she is very clever. She's tried to keep the balance. So she tried to keep the balance between silence and despair. She was not sounding very sad also, and she could not keep quiet also. Papa, the party, she whispered. And she whispered very, very slowly. It was neither silence nor very loud. So she says, Papa, the party. Papa stopped, and even he got a little shock, and he stopped. He fought off the urge to open the door and look up the street. And instantly there was an urge in him He wanted to open the door and look up the street where they were, and find out at how far they were. They are checking basements to make shelter, and Liesel informs that they are checking the basements to make the shelters. He set her down. Smart girl, he said, and then he smiled at her cleverness and he calls her smart girl, and then called for Rosa. So he calls his wife. They had a minute to come up with a plan. So in a minute they came up with a plan and a schmozzle of thoughts. Now what is schmozzle? So many thoughts, all confused and chaotic thoughts, they were coming and going into their mind, because they were short of time. So there was shamoozle of thoughts. We'll just put Max in Liesel's rooms. The first plan they made was that let us put Liesel in, let us put Max. Max is the person who's hiding in their house, in Liesel's room. Was Mama's suggestion under the bed. That's it. What if they decide to search our rooms as well? So he says, what if they search our rooms? So she asked that, do you have a better plan? Correction. They did not have a minute. And now even that minute was over. A knock was hammered into the door of 33 Himmel Street. And then there was a knock at the door, and it was too late to move anyone anywhere. And now there was no time left, and they could not move anyone anywhere. Here anyone means Max. They could not move Max up to Liesel's room. Open up. Their heartbeats fought each other, a mess of rhythm, and they were very, very, very scared, nervous what to do, because they could not do anything. On this day, it was Papa who rose to the occasion. Now, rose to the occasion means Papa put his panic aside and dealt with the situation calmly. So he acted according to what the situation was demanding. So he acted. He put his panic aside and he kept his presence of mind, and he rose to that occasion. He started opening the door or whatever. He rushed to the basement door, and this is what he did. He rushed to the door of the basement and threw a warning down the steps. And from upstairs only, he warned Max that some people are going to come and search the basement, so that by this time these people should come in, he should be able to hide him somewhere in a safe place. When he returned, he spoke fast and fluent. And when he came back, he spoke very, very clear and very fast. Look, there is no time for any tricks. We could distract him 100 different ways, but there is only one solution. So he says that we could distract him, these people who are coming, we could distract them in so many ways, but there is only one solution. And he eyed the door and summed nothing. And he says the solution is nothing. We can't think of any time. We can't think of any plan now to distract them, to save time so that Max can be hidden somewhere. So we don't have time for anything. So let us face the situation and let us wait for things how they happen.